From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? Welcome. New week. Last week, right? It's the last week of February, right, Corey?
It is, and I apologize, everyone, that I'm on the phone.
Sorry, I didn't get to set that up. It's Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan. He's Corey. He's joining us on the telephone. It's not that bad, Corey, but we won't make this show too long because there's not a whole lot to talk about. But there's plenty going on over at warchant.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 free days of access. If you're not a member, you have position preview stuff to look forward to. We'll be dropping that as spring football steadily approaches. Looking at each segment, I think we're going to start things off with running back. Remember that? Remember how awesome the running backs are going to be this time last year, Corey? Woo! Remember all the questions on the Renegade Express? Can both guys run for 1,000? Yeah.
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 Yep.
That was cool.
Well, we'll probably cool that a little bit. That'll be a little tempered.
Yeah.
The expectations, but then that's better anyway because then you get to exceed expectations. And it ain't like they're not talented.
Yeah. They got plenty of that. They got that in spades, man. They got a lot of talent there. So be sure to check that stuff out. Otherwise, leave your questions on the Renegade Express. We'll get to it at the end of the week. This will probably be a 3-show week for your guy and myself. But that's just the way it works sometimes. Anywho, let's start off, I guess, with basketball. There's not too much on the radar football-wise, but there was something I did want to mention about. I did some research, Corey, which is always trouble because I'm terrible at crunching numbers and stuff, but just a trend I noticed at Baylor. Don't know if that's something that we'll maybe experience here at any point, but basketball, the 8-game winning streak, I'm kind of disappointed in you, Corey. You didn't make your headline 8 was enough. Comes to an end in Chapel Hill against a really talented North Carolina team, able to talk to some of those guys on Sunday. They seem to be in it happens, man. It's a crazy thing. Well, not crazy. It's just the reality of basketball. There's no finality like it is in college football when you lose. Just they ran into a really good team, showed some fight. I don't know. They're just. I think you take the good from the Duke and the North Carolina losses. The other ones seem to have been not all that redeeming. Still feel good about where this team is. It's just can they stay healthy? And as Leonard's been saying, will they find that special gear that teams seem to find this time of year when everybody hits on all cylinders?
Yeah, I mean, there's no shame in what happened on Saturday. Now, you don't like to know whatever it was, 10.5 minutes and make only one basket. I mean, that wasn't great. But I think that does happen over the course of a 35-game season, unless you're loaded with lottery picks, which Florida State, as far as we can tell, has one surefire NBA player on the roster, and that's it. There will be stretches like that, and the game kind of got away from them, tough place to play. And that team is as hot as any team in the country. And when the Nasir Little kid plays like that, good gracious. Like, I think he was averaging 9 points a game. He was the MVP in the McDonald's All-American game last year. It wasn't Zion. It wasn't R.J. Barrett. It was this kid. He's supposed to be, going into the season, he was thought to be a top 5 pick. And he's really kind of struggled he struggled to adapt, I guess, would be easier to say, or to adjust to the college game and did the rotation. But, man, he came off and played a really good game on Saturday, and that just happens sometimes, man. Kamageli got in foul trouble. MJ Walker, Savoy, Kofor couldn't hit shots. And when that happens, good teams are going to beat you, and great teams are going to beat the tar out of you. No pun intended. And well, actually, a pun kind of was intended there.
Well done.
And I thought it was well done. It was a pretty good pun, actually.
Very
and so that's what happens.
Yeah. Man, this Nasir Little guy, he played at some small school in Orlando, like 1A or 2A, something ridiculous. Can you imagine that kid, like having to cover him, like at a small 2A school? Like, all right, I got this guy. That's not fun.
Oh, legit. Like, I didn't know. I figured he went to, like, IMG or one of the basketball factories. I didn't know he went to, like, a normal high school.
Orlando Christian Prep. He's actually from the Panhandle area, I think.
Have you ever watched Zion Williamson's high school highlights? Legit. Picture the smallest.
Tomahawking people, hurting them.
If you could think of like the smallest private schools in rural South Carolina, that's who he played against.
Oh.
It was like these independent schools. They might have had 100 kids. It looks like he's playing. It reminds me a lot. This is way back nobody's going to get this reference, but Lorenzo Booker's high school film.
Oh, yeah.
And Lorenzo Booker was thought of as the number one player in the country coming out of high school. He was a fine player. It was great. But the kids he played against was like, man, is he playing 8th grade teams? Like these guys aren't high school football players. It was the same way with Zion. Like he'd play these kids that were just utterly overmatched. Like they didn't belong. They looked like Brady's team playing Zion Williamson. It was just nothing but alley-oops and dunks. So yeah, that's good. I didn't realize that. I thought he went to. I thought Nasir Little would have been one of those prep school kids. But yeah, man. That kid was good. Obviously, Luke May. I thought so. Florida State hadn't really played all well. I thought the 3-point shooting kind of saved them, although people can say, well, it kind of cost them too. They got hot there at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half, and then when Gray hit that 3-pointer, like with 10:30 to go, they were only down by 4. And I thought North Carolina, they might get some game pressure. They might really start to panic because they outplayed Florida State, and they look up. They're only up by 4 points, and Cabaghelli really hasn't even been a factor. And then literally 11 seconds later, Luke May buries a 3. Yeah. And then Little hits a jump shot, which he doesn't do a lot, and then May banks in a 3 from the top of the key. And that was it. And look, you got to hope. I got a lot of tweets after the game about MJ Walker. Look, he's a sophomore. His first year starting. No, he's not a great player yet. He's good on one side of the court. Right now it's not offense. But he can get there maybe. It's just right now when he's not hitting his jump shot, he's a liability on the offensive end of the court because you got to have guys that can knock down that open jumpers and not take bad shots. I mean, I thought he took some rushed bad shots. But it's one game. I mean, it was one game. They're not going to get beat on the boards like that like they did against North Carolina. That's not going to happen a lot. But because Kumaji and Cabaghelli were both in foul trouble, and Leonard's not going to play them if they both have 2 fouls, they just got beat up. They got beat up on the glass, and they went 10 minutes with one made field goal. You're not going to beat a good team like that. But I think, they got to turn right back around. They don't have any time to feel sorry for themselves. Notre Dame can certainly beat them if they don't play well, although Notre Dame's really struggling this year because of injuries. But still, it's Notre Dame, so you got to assume they got guys that can hit threes. But they don't have time to feel sorry for themselves, and it doesn't really seem like a bunch that does do that. Like I think they'll be much better after this loss than they were the Duke loss.
Absolutely.
Like that was a gut punch. I think this one they're like, man, it's just basketball. That happens. Some days you can't make shots. We're a lot better than we showed. We still got a chance to finish in the top 4. Let's just move on. And I think personally it might be good for them to just play right away again on a Monday.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough. 7 o'clock or 7:30 is the tip, so one of us will be there, myself or Corey. And then it won't be me because I will be at a WWE Raw event. Oh, it's happening
here in the great city of Atlanta.
Okay, what kind of preparations are underway for this, man? What's going on?
I'm going to dress like the Ultimate Warrior. I already got the face paint on. I'm just going to walk around with it all day. Brady's going to have a cape. And I don't know what wrestler he's going to go as, though. He might just have a cape. Okay. Well, maybe we'll go as the Road Warriors.
All right.
We got some stuff planned. I could go as the Junkyard Dog. Yes. There's a lot of stuff. Our George the Animal Steel, one of the old school wrestlers. Oh. And we'll see how it goes. I've never been to one of these. I have no idea what I'm getting into. It's on TV, so I guess folks, if you get done watching Florida State, you can tune over to. What is it, on USA maybe? I don't even know what WWE Raw is on.
USA. Is there even USA Network anymore? I don't even know.
And look for me because we'll be holding signs that say "Wake Up War Chant."
All right, yeah.
So look, I think we got pretty good seats. So just look on USA for anybody holding the "Wake Up War Chant" sign. Bald guy, and I know Ronda Rousey is on the card.
Ooh.
I don't know. That's the only name I recognize.
All right. I used to be so into this stuff. I was a WCW guy. That was WWF, Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, but then when the NWO came around to WCW, I flipped sides. And I was so into it that I would go on some of the message boards. This is like circa 2099, the relative
infancy.
Goldberg?
Were you a big Goldberg fan?
No, I didn't do anything. He had no charisma, man. He just came in there, speared you, and jackhammer, whatever he did.
That was the beauty of him. Former Georgia football player, All-American.
I was Scott Hall. I like the villains, man. I like the good guys. But I'd
sure.
go on the message boards and the forums. Like Dave Meltzer's this guy who's like he's the Gene Williams of wrestling internet message boards or whatever. But they would give you like what the matches were going to be for that night. You could find out like what the story arcs were and like who they planned on putting on that night and whether or not there was going to be a dark match, which is sometimes they'll do matches after the televised portion of the card is over, if you will. So, you could probably dig in there and see what you guys are about to get into. But no, keep the surprise going, man. I'm stoked for you. Put the phone away, man. Just drink it in, be present, and just enjoy Brady's joy that he's going to experience. That's going to be great, man.
100%. Like I'm not gonna check the Florida State game at all. I will when I get out of there. Hopefully, I'll open up my phone and my Twitter to see that they won by 15 or 20 points and everybody hit threes and everybody's happy. But yeah, I won't even check. I'm not going to be checking the score or Twitter at all. I'm going to be in the moment watching a fake sporting event with a lot of kind of crazy people around me. But I look forward to it. I think it'll be it's an experience. It's a life experience. I feel like it's a monster truck rally kind of experience. Like you got to go at least once just to soak it in. And I've been told literally by everybody that's been there. To been to a WWE event, that it's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean with a kid.
No, you're gonna have fun,
great
man.
For kids, and they really get into it.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun, man. Like I said, me and my buddies went to a Nitro and a Thunder back in the day at the Ice Palace, whatever they call it, Emily Arena. It's awesome. You're gonna enjoy yourselves, man. It'll be fantastic.
All right, man. And then afterwards, I'll probably go to the Cheetah, and Brady can stay in the car.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Little daddy time. We do a little Brady time, then we do a little daddy time.
All right, right on. Weird, no segue smoothly to go to baseball. I did figure this out on Saturday. So I've got ESPN. I've got cable, so I can sign into ESPN3 online and watch, weird tennis or softball or baseball games on the internet, right, Corey? Just say
correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I discovered I can actually speak into my controller for my Comcast cable box, and I can literally be like ESPN3, and it'll pull up all the ESPN3 games on my television set. So I was watching some of the baseball while the basketball was going on. I knew you were covering basketball. I'm like, let Corey just do the basketball. I'll watch baseball so we can speak a little bit about that on the show. But yeah, I didn't know that because my whole thing is I'm an old man at heart. Like I don't like to watch sports on my cell phone or my laptop. I bought a television that's 50 inches so I could experience sports the way it's meant to be experienced if you're not in person. So I was able to catch some of the Youngstown game. Our guy, Robbie Martin, dude, he's got 17 RBIs now, I want to say. He had 8 in that series against Youngstown. He's good. DeSadas, I think, went yard again. So what are your thoughts on this? So Nando DeSadas is from Panama, like this country, like Manuel Noriega, Panama.
Not Panama City, not by Spinnakers, but like the real Panama.
The OG Panama. When he comes up to the dish, the animals, the super fans of Florida State baseball, they just start singing the chorus to Van Halen's Panama. I like it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great for him.
What in the year 2019, mildly uncomfortable, is his curtain call. They just start chanting Panama. Like Panama, Panama, Panama. It's like I don't mind it, but I'm sure there's some people that might be a little uncomfortable about it. Maybe the same people who are uncomfortable when I made the joke about Amir Rasul and Nasir Upshur no longer being the program because they're Muslim. I was watching my cousin Vinny the other night. Great movie. And there's a scene where Vinny puts his fiance on the testimony stand, and she's asked, how are you an expert when it comes to cars? And she's like, well, my father's a mechanic, my uncle's a mechanic, 2 brothers on my mama's side are a mechanic, my 2 brothers are mechanics. And she starts like listing everybody off as a mechanic. Is that good enough? And he's like, okay. I kind of want to be like, my mom's Muslim, my father's Muslim, my grandmother's Muslim, my uncles on my dad's side are Muslim, the sisters on my mom's side are Muslim.
You're allowed to make jokes.
Everybody relax out there. Good grief. There's a couple of emails sent to Gene like, what's going on with this? What are we letting him get away with? Relax, everybody. I can take shots at my own people. Relax.
I feel like you went on a tangent there.
Yeah, kind of connect the dots. Back to baseball, though. America's game.
Right.
The third pitcher in the rotation, that's still going to be we'll see how Antonio Velez does against USF. That's probably the best team that Florida State's going to have faced so far this year. Austin Pollock has struggled in his 2 starts this season against Maine and then Youngstown State, so we'll see how Velez does. They threw Velez on Friday, and I think he threw something like 51 pitches and 40 went for strikes. So, again, level of competition differs, but I assume if he does well against USF, he'll be in line to move into the number 3 role. Then maybe they'll move Pollock into the midweek role if Velez becomes the third guy in the rotation. But otherwise, man, the offense is going. The best thing about the offense is the on-base percentage is always going to be there. That's what Martin Jr. preaches. But they're hitting the ball. I know the level of competition is not the greatest, but just to see them hit the ball, hit the cover off of it, very encouraging.
Sure, yeah, and I think it is big. I'm not always a proponent of the way they schedule early with these Florida and Miami just played a 3-game series, and it was a hotly contested, and I think against obviously very good competition, I think that might do more for you than Youngstown State and who was it, Maine?
The Black Bears.
The first weekend. But then I also think that when you have a young team and you have 4 freshman starters in the lineup, man, you don't want to face Florida right out of the bat. They might get in baseball's so mental that you might get, if you go 0 for 10 in a series against a Florida, you might not get out of the tailspin. Sometimes that happens when you're 18. These kids, if they're going to be good, if this is going to be a good to great offense, they're gonna need these 4 freshmen, certainly the 3 main ones. The Nelson's, you hope he can hit, but he's back there for defense, and he's good back there.
He can hit.
You want him to hit some.
11's pretty confident. Sure. He can hit. He can hit, man. That wasn't an aberration.
But you want them to have some confidence when they get into the ACC schedule and not all be hitting 140. So I get why sometimes I think when they have a veteran team, they could schedule a little differently. But with this team in particular, I think these 2 weekends are really good for the baseball team, but also it is hard to know how much you can take out of it. It just is. I don't think Ribby Martin is going to lead the nation in RBIs.
Whatever.
17 after 7 games is nuts. That also tells you the guys in front of him are doing a really good job getting on base. And Cabell, I think, has shown a really good he's shown a really nice eye. Like, he struck out too much so far, sure, but he's also walked a lot. And I thought it was really, I think Mendoza and Albert and Mendoza went back-to-back, maybe on Saturday, the first game on Saturday, whenever they win.
Correct.
Like 24-2.
Yes.
And then Cabell came up, and he's wanting to go back-to-back-to-back. This guy is throwing up slop. He's the worst pitcher he's going to see for the rest of it. For the rest of his baseball career, that kid that pitched for Youngstown in Game 2 is the worst that Cabell is ever going to see. He was basically just soft tossing it. So, but Cabell took a walk. Like, he didn't go out of the zone. He didn't get too crazy trying to jack one to the moon. I thought that was a really good sign and a really mature sign for a kid that's only 18 that has all these expectations. But yeah, man, it's a good weekend. I think, again, the bigger thing is that they've been picking up the ball and fielding it pretty well so far. I didn't check their error totals on Saturday, but I don't think they had many. And I know they didn't have one on Friday. So, again, the majority of the games they played this year, they haven't committed an error, at least not with their starters. That's a good sign. And then, I know they like Pollock. They think there's some talent there, and I think there is. But they can't keep – you went 1 1/3 inning against Youngstown State and had to be pulled. That's after not pitching well in the first weekend. That's and not pitching well at all the second half of last year once he got in the ACC. They got to get him right, and until he's right, he can't face ACC competition because he will get battered. He's not locating well, and he's putting too many guys on base.
Yeah.
Overall, though, 7-0, man, and Lord knows the softball team's not slowing down anytime soon.
No, man, no. Before we get to that, I stumbled upon Clyde Keller, Coach Clyde Keller. He replaced Mike Bell as the pitching coach. I stumbled upon his Twitter, and I thought this was crazy. Well, not crazy, but it was interesting. I thought I could share it. So his bio on Twitter says, assistant coach, Florida State, pitching and hitting nut, 51 years old and still learning. Eyes and ears wide open. I question everything. That's cool. All right. So here's some of his tweets. One of his tweets is, my oldest son hit a triple off the center field wall on a 3-0 pitch last night. Then he's got the contemplative emoji and says, crazy idea. food for thought on his next tweet. Would you rather have 2 tries at a 6-foot birdie or 1? And then he breaks down the percentages on, the likelihood that you reach base on a 3-0 count versus a 3-2 count. He's also got he's got a tweet also at Florida State Softball. I love the way they swing the bats. They swing for damage. He's our pitching coach, and he's slyly advocating on behalf of swinging the bat. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, and I don't think, people think that that Meek preaches like take until you get 2 strikes and then no. He preaches swinging at your pitch. And so 2-0, don't swing at a curveball. You're not looking curveball. In fact, don't swing at a fastball unless it's right where you're looking. Don't get yourself out. Same thing on a 3-0 pitch. He green lights his, they get green lit on 3-0 plenty of times. But it's got to be right where you want it. Except for someone like, like a Salvatore or a J.C. Flowers. They don't need to be swinging 3-0. Right. They don't. What damage are they going to do anyway? I used to drive me crazy. The Braves had a leadoff hitter back in the early 90s, Otis Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
Who set he stole like 80 bases a year before he got popped for coke. And then Lonnie Smith had to play in the World Series. Yeah, long story. That's crazy. Yeah, Lonnie Smith had to play in the World Series because Otis Nixon was suspended, and Lonnie Smith cost him the World Series because he doesn't know how to run the bases. Way to go, Otis. Anyway, I don't even want to talk anymore. It still bothers me.
Also, Otis Nixon, runner-up, most handsome man in America, People Magazine, 1992. Carry on.
Right below Willie McGee. And but he would always swing at 3-1 pitches, and it would drive me nuts. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, even if you get a hold of one, it's a slap single to left field, which is the same thing as a walk. Like, all you're trying to do is get to first base. So get to first base. You're not going to do – Otis Nixon hit like 4 homers in his career. There's no reason for him to ever swing at a 3-1 pitch. And I'm not saying J.C. Flowers is Otis Nixon, but I'm saying like those guys, like Drew Mendoza should always be greenlit on 3-0. So should Cabell. So should Albert. The guys in the middle, obviously. But the other guys, your job is to get on base. You're not going to hit a lot of balls out of the park. So just try to get on base if you're a guy that's going to hit, if your slugging's under 400, just take walks. 3-0, do not swing. 3-1, it better be perfect. Those other guys can expand a little bit, and they got some real power, man. I mean, if Mendoza, and again, it's really hard to gauge because it's like judging the Florida State football team in 2017, the way they beat off the brakes of whatever that
Delaware State.
I can't remember who they beat. Yeah, they scored 77 points. Like, Youngstown State is horrid. And Maine's probably not much better, and certainly not their pitching right now in February, where they've had no days to practice up there. So it's hard to really judge how good this offense is going to be. But man, if Mendoza can have a big year with those freshmen around him, and Albert I think is a really good hitter, they got a chance to have a nice season. They got to figure out the third starter. But other than that, they got a lot of nice arms, man. As long as they keep picking it up. I don't see why they're not in Omaha at the same time those Lady Noles are in Oklahoma City.
Let's roll, man. 13-1 victory for the defending national champs on Sunday against Samford. That's Coach Lonnie Alameda's career 500th victory at Florida State. 17-0 now on the season. This is the first time Florida State has scored 10 or more runs in 5 consecutive games. And this is all after they lost possibly, the best softball player in program history.
Not possibly. I mean, one of the best hitters of all time, and you could argue one of the best Florida State athletes of all time. Not argue, it's a fact. Jessica Ward is one of the best that's ever played at Florida State in any sport. They lost her, and then listen to these numbers real quick. Are you ready? Because I got the stats up.
All right, hold on. You need some time? You ready to go?
No, I got them up.
Pull them up, go!
They are 17 games. They're 17-0. They might be 18-0. Maybe the last one hasn't been added yet. They're 17-0. They're slugging as a team 733.
That's good.
733.
That's good.
They have outscored their opponents 154-26.
That's good. It's very good.
Well, I mean, they have 33 home runs as a team in 17 games, which is nuts. Their opponents have 6. Their whole starting lineup is hitting over 330. It's really remarkable. Clyde Keller's right. My man knows they swing and they swing for damage.
Yeah, man.
It's like 9 murder. It's Murder's Row that goes 1 through 9. They all hit home runs. It's really, I mean, they have a legitimate chance. Now, they're not going to go undefeated. That's not going to happen. But they are obviously the cream of the crop in the ACC, and it's not close. The ACC is not a great softball conference. By any means, that's kind of why Florida State never got a ton of respect during the regular seasons, even when they were really good before last year. But, you know, if Florida State can take care of the midweek games, which include a couple against Florida, I assume, which won't be easy, I mean, there's a chance, you know, they could be like 58-2 when the postseason starts, or 60-0. Dream, reach for the stars, girls.
Let's do it.
Go for it. Yeah, but go undefeated. You know, become the best team in you know, national history. It's pretty remarkable what she's done. You know, I'd say I would be interested. Hopefully we can get her on sometime soon. I want to know how she got to Florida State. Lonnie, I'm talking about.
Right.
I know she came from UNLV, and I know Spetman was the AD at the time. But I know, like, so Chris Poole, who's the volleyball coach, who also does a very good job, especially what he took over for, I know he kind of reached out to Spetman because he was trying to he was looking to leave Arkansas. Even though he had done really well there, he's trying to get out of maybe spread his wings a little bit. So he reached out to Spetman. I don't know that you hire search firms for volleyball coaches and softball coaches. So I wonder if Lonnie reached out to Florida State or if Florida State reached out to her, and how that whole courtship happened, and how much credit Spetman deserves for hiring. I mean, he obviously deserves some because he did hire her, and it was a great hire. But did he find her? Was she, like, happy at UNLV? And he's like, no, I think he'd like you here. Or did she reach out to him? I'd be really interested in that because I don't remember. It's been like a decade now.
Yeah.
And I'm old.
Been a hell of a run. And then lastly, football. Again, segment previews going down on warchant.com. We're going to start off with the running back spot because the roster has not been finalized yet and published for our consumption, but that's probably the one position group that we have a good feel of what's going to happen. There probably won't be much shakeup. Obviously, with Amir Rasul being gone, we don't anticipate anybody else being gone. Cam, Kalen, Anthony Grant, and then Trayshawn Ward, the walk-on or preferred walk-on who shunned Maryland. So we got that one on Mike Loxley. Put that one in your pipe and smoke it.
Suck it, Terps. I hope that stung.
Yeah.
Hope that stung. That's somebody that wasn't swayed by that inflatable turtle.
No, not at all. The only thing I had to talk about was the fact that, somebody started a thread on War Chant that said we're 3 more coaching changes away from where we need to be, like staff changes, not head coach or anything. And I forgot what they mentioned, and somebody was, saying, why do you want to get rid of this guy or rid of that guy or what have you. I went back and looked at the run that Art Briles had at Baylor. I think I looked post Robert Griffin III, and they never at any point had a tight ends coach. So, like, that to me is because someone was asking, will they just go ahead and let this guy – people are trying to say let go of Lockett or let go of Pimpleton. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think this staff, the offensive staff is pretty much in place. They're going to have to figure out what to do with David Kelly. Again, it's not official, but it doesn't seem very encouraging or promising that he's going to get this waiver to let him move into an off-field position and then allow Florida State another full-time coaching hire. But and it's kind of weird. I mean, you would figure in this day, in Houston last year with Kendall Browse, he had a tight ends coach, and then at FAU he had Clint Trickett as a tight ends coach. But yeah, his dad never had a tight ends coach like the last 5 years there at Baylor. And then it's like if you don't have a tight ends coach, then what do you do with those guys? I mean, I figure like you easily could be like, all right, Trey McKitty, Cam McDonald, Alexander Marshall, just go with the receivers, right? I mean, it's because they're not going to go with the offensive
and then
line.
Also go with the linemen some of the time if you have to work on blocking technique.
Yeah.
I think they have employed. I mean, we know that they've employed tight ends, but maybe they just felt it was not. Maybe they had full-time special teams coaches. And just like, tight end is something. And, quite frankly, tight end is the one position. It's really bizarre. Like, how many tight ends are on a roster? 3?
Right.
Like, so the DBs coach, who Florida State right now doesn't even have one. No. But how many DBs are on the roster? 20? 14? I mean, that's all they do is sign DBs. So there's 15 DBs for one coach. There's 15 offensive linemen for one coach, 8 or 9 receivers. And then tight ends he's got 2 guys to worry about.
Right.
So it's always been like, I remember thinking of that with Brewster. It's like, that's really what his job is? he coaches. I don't even know who he coach. O'Leary.
Yeah.
And whoever. Yeah, it's like Giorgio Newberry.
Saunders.
Like, that's what you do.
Yeah. Well, they usually tight ends also usually get lumped into being like recruiting coordinator. I think that's, obviously that's what Lockett's thing is. That's what Tim Brewster did. But I did find it curious because also that was 2013, 14, 15, and that's when you only had 9 full-time paid assistant coaches. So you kind of, that was an expendable position. At this point now you have, the ability to hire 10 folks. So you can, put them as you need. But yeah, it does feel like this is probably what it's going to be. I guess we'll get some more clarity here in the coming, days, maybe a week of what David Kelly's role is going to be because, I don't know, 2 receivers coaches seems kind of silly. And then, you can't just make Mark Snyder all right, Odell, you take over the D-line, I'm going to do special teams. No, that'd be kind of weird too, but something to look forward to. Right, Corey?
Maybe he'll be co-defensive coordinator. Did you, so you're not going to mention have you not been paying attention to Twitter that they got a transfer quarterback?
Oh, they get Starkle?
No, they got a guy named, now you see, you're the one that's supposed to know this stuff,
I'm
man.
not
You're the
looking
one
at
that's supposed
Twitter,
to be,
man.
I don't know names. I think it's Wyatt Rector.
Oh, I saw somebody start a thread. I thought it was some sort of one of those. This guy's available. Are we going to get him? Is this guy available? We're going to get him?
No, he announced on social media on Saturday. You'll love this. As far as I can tell, the way he announced on social media was he went out to a lake. It looks like a jet ski.
I see it. Okay,
he's on a jet ski. Is that a jet ski that he's on?
That is a jet ski. Or a wave runner?
But he's not.
Wave runner.
Maybe a wave runner or a Sea-Doo. Maybe
it's a Sea-Doo. It is a Sea-Doo.
Sea-Doo. And what would you say he's holding? It looks like almost like a dry erase board. I don't know what it is that he's holding.
It's like the sign you would see at some really extravagant tailgate hung up on like a tent or like a really big Florida State super fan, maybe like a sign that's in their little mud room that leads you from the kitchen to the garage, maybe where the laundry room is, just kind of hanging up on the wall.
But it's not that big, right? It's like the size of like a big photo book.
Yeah.
Like a coffee table book, right?
He looks
so what does it say?
It just says Florida State University, go Noles. It's like it looks like a piece of merchandise, like a licensed piece of merchandise. He looks equal parts Darren Rovell and Tyler Holton. That's what I see right now in this guy.
He's big. He's pretty put together. He's wearing a life vest, guys. So we can't, isn't he? He's not just shirtless.
Yeah. He's coming as a preferred walk-on. So apparently is he's a young kid. He's not like he's not a transfer. So he's walking on.
He is. He's transferring from like Central Michigan or Western Michigan. Like he was a 3-star commit that's transferring from one of the Michigan schools.
You gotta love
small,
this.
but not Ann Arbor, but one of the Michigan schools.
Oh, Western Michigan. Western Michigan. Man, that's the good Michigan. That's PJ Fleck. That's Row the Boat, or formerly PJ Fleck. That's the good Michigan. Western.
Well, there you go. Yeah, man. So I think it was like a legitimate. If I remember from the Twitter headlines that I scrolled through real quick, flipped through, he threw for like 3,300 yards as a senior and ran for another 900. He's a dual threat.
Okay.
Looks like he can move a little bit.
Okay, I see you, Willie Taggart. I see you got a plan. I see it.
I see. Right. Hey, you know what they're doing, Aslan? They're throwing a lot of bodies at the problem.
There we go.
One of the kids might pan out, my man. One of the kids might pan out. You got Nolan McDonald. You got a Travis in there. You got a James Blackman, and now you got a Rector.
Yeah, all right. He's from Leesburg, Florida. All right. Gotcha.
See what I'm saying? He's a Florida boy. He probably wanted to go to – I think maybe Taggart even recruited him back when he was coming out. Maybe he knew about him from a couple of years ago when he was at South Florida.
He's got a check mark by South Florida on his Rivals profile in terms of school offer. It does say check mark on South Florida. Yeah. There we go.
Legitimately, like he is a guy that was offered by South Florida and obviously committed to Western Michigan. Now, again, you're Florida State. You don't necessarily want to be getting you don't want to be recruiting the likes of with the likes of Western Michigan. I get it, or even South Florida, quite frankly. Did it. Nailed it. That's my one per show. But, you never know with quarterbacks. You never really know. Baker Mayfield taught us that. This kid's probably another Baker Mayfield. He's the second coming of Baker Mayfield, except he has his own I don't think Baker Mayfield had his own, water vehicles.
Yeah.
And this guy obviously does. He owns a Sea-Doo. So
he's got some Kenny Powers
to me. Yeah, he's basically Kenny Powers. Dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah. Apparently, Rector was verbally committed to Virginia at one point and then backed out to then go to Western Michigan. I don't know what town Western Michigan is in, but yeah, this is crazy. I should probably know this. It's part of my job. But I wasn't looking at Twitter. I had to record something with the boss, and I was watching the Oscars last night.
Well,
so.
yeah, it's understandable.
I gotta be well rounded. I can't just know just about Florida State stuff all the darn time.
Hey man, I wasn't criticizing. That wasn't sarcasm. I understand. I wouldn't. I'm the one that never knows about this stuff, and I just admitted a few minutes ago that I'm not going to even watch the basketball team tonight. I'm going to be watching Ronda Rousey.
I'd feel better if his name was Wyatt Rector, because then we'd have the W principle in play. But, hey, beggars can't be choosers at this point. Let's take it, see what's going on. Yeah, there we go, man. Throw bodies at it, man. We're throwing bodies at it. I like it. All right. So there we go. People worried about depth because, man, we're all in on Blackman. Somebody asked this, and I don't know if we ever got to it on the Renegade Express.
Real quick, I hope his middle initial is an E.
You hope
it
is
like
or
Ernest
isn't.
or something, or Elijah, so that they can be Wyatt E. Rector.
I walked right
into thing on? Did my phone just...
I didn't see that. I did not see. I walked right into it. Let me trying to pull up his actual Western Michigan profile, because sometimes they'll actually say, their full name, and he's the son, and he's the son of so and so and so and so.
Oh, right, yeah.
But apparently, when you
I interrupted you. You were trying to make another point, and I interrupted.
No,
you.
just somebody. I think we probably did get to the question, but it was why are people worried about the feelings of James Blackman? When we're talking about getting transfer quarterbacks to come in here. And it's just, because let's see what this kid can do. And I know competition should push everybody, but listen, he was a good soldier last year. He was a good soldier in 17, thrown into the fire. 18, he waited his turn. By all accounts, didn't do anything out of the sort to create any sort of animosity or tension in there. Let's just let this kid figure it out, man. Let him take every single rep that he needs to take until his arm is sore or he knows the play inside and out. That's the only thing we're worried about, and I think he just deserves that. And let's see what he can do, man. So yeah, we don't need the best and brightest to back him up, man. We just need good folks, and then let him roll. I'm ready to rock, man.
Well, yeah, sure, but he's still got to earn it, and
no,
he might really have to earn it.
Come on,
no,
he didn't earn it at 17. We had a 4-game win streak. We won 5 of our last 6. The one game we lost was at Clemson, and we were in that one. Now he threw a horrible interception, but come on, you got to earn that. That's earning it. Good grief.
You can't just start a season and say James Blackman's our definitely our number one, and no matter how he plays, he's going to be our number one. He's got to win the job and keep the job.
That's what they did with the other guy last year. How come he got that?
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. When we talk about feelings, if Nolan McDonald outperforms him and outshines him and is a better player, then yeah, Nolan McDonald should win the job. We don't think that's the case. I don't think Willie thinks that's the case. Just like he didn't think Blackman deserved it over Francois. But yeah, man, I also don't think that I don't know that we need to be so inhumane's not the right word. I don't know, casual or callous about somebody like James Blackman. I think Florida State fans were way too callous about Sean McGuire. That kid stuck it out the whole time. And you're like, oh, well, he's not good. I'll take Everett Golson. Well, how did that work out? Everett Golson was terrible. Sometimes the guy, so don't just have some transfer, especially these guys. They're not getting Justin Fields. So these guys, you don't want to worry about their feelings, but Josh Jackson, that kid from Virginia Tech, isn't any better than James Blackman. So why would you risk alienating James Blackman and letting him go somewhere else, a guy that loves Florida State and will put it all on the line for Florida State? It is seriously a Seminole. I'm telling you, the dude loves the program, and the program loves him. All the kids love him. And you're willing to make him second string for a Johnny-come-lately from Virginia Tech that isn't even that good? I don't think that's what good programs are built on. I just don't. Now, Justin Fields is a different story or somebody like that. But, yeah, you wouldn't just push James Blackman out of the way and say, sorry, kid, appreciate it, though, for some guy that's just not even better than him. Yeah. That's all. That's why I think people – obviously you would take a Justin Fields or somebody of that ilk, a Baker Mayfield, if he proved to be awesome, of that ilk over James Blackman. But everything being equal, man, you go with the guy that's a true Seminole.
True, no.
Am I right, Aslan?
Yeah, man, no-blooded. All right, man, we're done. Good stuff out of you, Corey. I don't know.
Hey, I thought you were going to look up his middle initial.
I can't, dude. It's weird. He's not even on the Western Michigan website. I looked at their 2018 roster. He's not even on there. He redshirted, dude. He went to Lenore-Ryan in North Carolina. There was a kid, Ryan Wilson, the great Ryan Wilson from Eastlake High School, who went to Lenore-Ryan in North Carolina. But yeah, I can't.
Oh.
I'm on the Western Michigan website. And he's not even listed on their roster from 2018. They must have had some real animus with him, I
guess. Well, sorry, Broncos. He's a Nole now. We saw the proof on his C-do.
Yeah, good for him, man.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, we'll see if he can become immediately eligible. Obviously, he's not a graduate transfer, but I'm sure there's something there. I think apparently maybe his quarterback coach got canned, so that's going to be.
Would it matter if he's a walk-on anyway?
Well, he can.
I guess for eligibility purposes, it would.
He can still obviously practice and all that stuff, but in terms of him being able to, say James gets hurt and they don't want to ruin Nolan McDonald's red shirt and they just need to hand the ball off for one snap, maybe throw Wyatt in there, Throw Wyatt in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The old Rector.
Yeah. All right, so I'll see if we can find out his middle name when we reconvene. I don't know if we'll be back tomorrow. I know there's a basketball game. Our team is top 20. We should probably recap that.
But I can't. I can only recap the Raw event. So maybe you and Ira could do something quick after the game.
All right, maybe. We'll see how that all goes. Leave your questions on the Tribal Council. We'll do a Renegade Express for sure at the end of the week. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great one.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.